we did skip a month. I don't remember if it was November or December. It was, yeah. I don't recall, but we did skip a month in there somewhere.
Yeah. I'm just looking on the website, like I thought the minutes and stuff would be all like posted there, but I don't see them.
Yeah, if we need back issues of the minutes, I can go through my email. If we're gonna repost them.
I mean, maybe they're just somewhere else that I don't, I just don't know where they are.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that would be, I assume it would be on the city website, like when you search for the meetings. That's typically where the other, the other committees and councils and that kind of thing. That's usually where the minutes go.
I wonder if they're behind in posting them.
Well,
if we have them, I can get them posted within 24 hours. We have been, but we've been discovering what we don't have, and as people get it to me,
Okay.
Danae's been doing
you
her
can
research.
sit right here if you'd like.
Hi. Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, Joanne. Good to see you.
Of course, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm just, my head is brimming over. I was reading the document, the urban renewal document.
Yeah.
And, well, I'll talk about that later.
Well, we don't have, wait, so let's see, what
We
is
have 4.
a quorum? Is that?
Oh, yeah, you know all the rules, huh, you guys? I don't know all the rules.
Well, okay, so we have 1, 2,
Jeremy
3,
coming?
4. So we have,
And isn't it 4 or 7?
yeah,
Well,
so
if
we
we
have,
consider, yeah, 4 of 7 is still good, but
Yeah, you're not bound by the charter, so you count as being here, unless your bylaws prohibit it, and I'm not seeing that.
no, it
so
doesn't.
Jared's
I was,
online.
Oh,
He's pulled over at the, Wheat, Montana, coming back from Helena.
oh dear.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Jeremy, for making it work.
yeah,
All
no
right,
worries. I
well,
was just gonna say, I don't know if we had James off of there and Victoria as well. That makes the total lower. So.
I couldn't hear what you said, Jeremy. What was that?
Oh, I'm just not sure if we have James and Victoria scratched off, and Al for that matter.
We were talking about that, prior to kind of the scheduled time, because James has a line through him, but he's still listed as on until December of 2024. Do you have additional knowledge on that?
Yeah, I believe we received a resignation letter from him since he was moving. I can go through my email and get that to you as well.
I don't remember seeing that, but it could maybe.
Oh, really? Maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought that he had provided something with us when he found out that he was moving. But
Well, I guess it would be, that's not hard. I can just ask him.
Right.
Remove all doubt.
Ask him to send it again or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's do a call to order. Okay. All right. I can never remember exactly how to do this. So, okay, I'll do roll call. Okay. Battles.
Here?
Yeah. Okay. Caniglia. Absent. Die.
Here.
Mastel, here. De Benedetto.
Here.
And then Eater.
Here.
Is that right? Okay. Call to order. Roll call. Check, check. Approval of the minutes. Did everybody see the minutes that were sent around?
I did.
I did.
Anybody have a motion to approve those?
I
Oh.
can't because I left halfway through.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
okay, great. Oh, and then I suppose I have to second that because Jeremy can't probably approve his own minutes.
So you're left. Yep.
Okay, so I second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I have to abstain.
Yep, I think so, because you weren't there.
Just because you weren't at that meeting.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
The guidance we got from Dan is that you don't actually have to abstain.
Oh.
You can certainly choose to if you've got a quorum, but if there's a need to, what you're basically doing is voting support and confidence in the minutes so that the minutes will reflect even if you weren't there.
Mhm.
So you can approve minutes even if you weren't at the meeting.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, all opposed, same sign. Everybody voted for them. Okay, the motion passes. So those are approved. Great. Okay, let's go into new business. So first thing, welcome our new agency member, Joanne Eder.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Hi.
Thanks for volunteering.
What is Joanne's term?
I signed up for the last piece of Jeremy's, I think.
No,
No? I signed, there were
No,
two.
you're replacing,
Victoria.
Victoria Porter.
Okay.
So, do I have 4 years then?
Yes, ma'am, and
Oh,
you're getting out any
Because
sooner.
when I requested it, I requested the tail end of there was one that had a year left.
That must be Jane.
That's what I thought from looking at it. but-
Okay, well, maybe we need to just
Review that.
look
yeah.
into that.
And you can quit whenever you want, and we'll replace you.
Yeah.
But we can't replace you.
Okay. Okay, so if we know where the minutes are, then we can move back through. Oh, boy. I miss Courtney.
I know.
Okay,
I'm up on my phone.
let's see, so, Joanne, you can kind of see, this is how we normally hold our meetings.
Mhm.
What guidance or input would we have for our new member?
We're pretty new. We're
Yeah.
still learning this organization ourselves. I mean, the organization itself is brand new, and we're brand new,
Good.
at doing it. So we've been very short meetings, very kind of discussion-oriented informal meetings,
Mhm.
which has been great, I think, for our group. It might change as the course goes on.
Yeah, I think it's just been kind of a big learning process for all of us, just
Mhm.
in terms of what TIF's all about, and URDs.
Mhm.
And I guess, we've had in the past with some of the meetings had presentations, from presenting examples from other communities on what
Good.
they've been doing.
Good.
It was
So,
very helpful.
so that's been kind of rotated around the members to each one kind of
Mhm.
picking a community and researching on it and bringing the information back to the board.
I feel like we've been pretty diligent, so we started and we didn't really have anything, and then, yeah, Courtney suggested that we do that, just we learn more about urban renewal districts, and then we developed our application, and that took a while. We all worked on it together, we researched, what are some other communities' applications, what do they look like, and then we kind of picked what we liked. And so we have an application,
I
and
saw that.
yeah, and we have somebody that we have had
We have one.
one
Mhm.
person that applied, and it seemed like it worked, and we asked them, is there anything?
Yeah, they were the guinea pig.
The guinea pig.
Mhm.
And then we also developed bylaws,
Mhm.
and I will say, so the bylaws we approved in a really wonky meeting. It was the September meeting where I was in a car up in Fort Belknap, and Jeremy wasn't on. We had a quorum. We absolutely had a quorum. Oh, Courtney was not there.
Mhm.
Courtney wasn't here.
We
Yeah,
had,
we had like 4 of us on,
But-
Zoom and, yeah.
And so then we never got the minutes written up, so I think just so we remove any doubt, we should maybe for next month, just like reapprove our bylaws.
I think that'd be
because
good.
we don't want any, you know,
We
don't-
should revisit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's fine to look at them again too, so, okay, so would we add that to next? Would you
next
add
month.
that to, how do you
It could be old business.
in old business for next?
I think so, anyway.
Well, I have questions. Can I?
Oh,
Yay.
Yeah, great.
You know, I come from the foundation
Mhm.
world and grants and approving proposals and things like
Yay.
that.
Yeah.
And reading the minutes and reading about the one you're getting paid, which is good, you know, you gotta start somewhere. But, I thought, you know, the opportunities we have are tremendous. And if we just do grant by grant, we're really not gonna get the best outcome. We need to have a grant cycle, you know, a deadline that we will accept grants on such and such a day.
That's a great.
And then we will have a competitive process, so we will, and we have goals, and are they gonna mean anything, or are they just, we're gonna wait for opportunistic?
Right.
Somebody wants to do something, so they apply for the money, or are we gonna work on our goals, i.e.
Mhm.
housing?
Right.
Or multi-use, or, I mean, the goals were wonderful. I
Right.
just finished reading them.
Mhm.
And I think that's, and when you drive into town, I mean, this is my soapbox. This is
Oh,
why
good,
I'm
go for
here.
it.
Wow, that's why you're
That's why
here.
I'm
Yeah.
When you drive into town, it's just not attractive. And the whole downtown is wonderful, and people just leave thinking this is the most wonderful little town. But if they just went by the first part of it, they'd turn right around and leave. I'm sorry, but,
That's true, you're very right.
and I
I don't
thought
think
that's the
anybody
whole
disagrees with
purpose.
that.
Nobody disagrees with that.
That's the whole purpose of the Urban
Yeah.
Renewal Agency, and so I think it has to be a little competitive, and I
Yeah.
think I noticed you thought we needed a checklist. Well, I think part of that should be what our goals are.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what our priorities are, and if we
Mhm.
don't start now, we're gonna get in a big mess. Well, so-and-so got it, and so-and-so
Yeah,
got this,
yeah.
and, you know. And also, the other thing that I'm big on matching funds, and one of the goals was encouraging private investment.
Mhm.
So if we fund projects ourselves completely, our money's gonna be gone and we won't see any real
Right.
effect.
Mhm.
We need to ask for skin in the game, we
Yeah.
need to ask for other investors to come in, private investors. If they put together an amazing package and all they need is help with the infrastructure or something,
Mhm.
that's it, you
Yep.
know, that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
So I think we need to discuss more how we're gonna do this.
Sure.
As a process,
Absolutely.
and we can even have community meetings, you know, to
Yeah.
discuss if we have some really exciting options, you know, get people involved and say, who can do what on this
Mhm.
project?
Mhm.
I mean, if we get if the Red Lodge Area Community Foundation gets a grant to help, build more mutual self-help houses, you know, that could be a piece of a whole.
Sure.
The other thing, I'm coming in here on fire because I sat in on Jacob, Kuntz's charrette that he had. Did you see that by any chance? It was just amazing. So he's doing 1,000 homes and he's telling a habitat.
Wow.
Wow.
But it's mixed use. It's not all gonna be habitat homes. It's not all gonna be rentals. It's gonna be mixed use. And, he got a design outfit to come in and he did a charrette. You know what a charrette is, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody throws out ideas and people get to
Mhm.
respond from the community. And, the pictures were just wonderful. They just made you know, the way, and I loved the document when I was looking at it, because it's all about the parking and
Mhm.
what's your appearance and walkability and all those
Mhm.
things, and having mixed use, having parks, having playgrounds, so that you got green space. I mean, to me, you start with the vision.
Mhm.
You start with what you want it to look like.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, we could do this little piece now, or we've got someone interested in taking on this little piece.
Mhm.
But it's, you've got your vision already, you know,
Yeah.
so that you've got, you know what you want it to look like in the end.
Mhm.
And so I think we talked when we talked to the planning committee, Jeremy and I were here, and they were all on board with housing being one of the number one priorities, and accumulating enough money, not giving out grants, small grants, accumulating enough money that it will have some impact, that it could be used for matching funds, it could be used for creating the infrastructure for some nice development. And, you know, it's gonna be opportunistic, we're gonna have opportunities to, but if we have the overall vision first, so I think we have a really exciting opportunity here to have some community meetings and present some of these ideas that you saw, and I love the pictures in the report. You know, there's all kinds of options.
Mhm.
And, the outfit that, they're very expensive, so I guess we don't wanna get them that Jacob used. But have you been to Josephine Crossing in Billings?
I've been there.
So it's worth, I think we should do some field trips.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
But the first field trip I think we should do is walk the district.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Mhm.
I think we should walk it. Our church group has been walking it.
Nice.
And it is really exciting. There's stuff going on already, just individual efforts to fix places up.
Sure.
And I think if we know that and we see some of the vitality that's there already,
Yeah.
and then you can just use that as a core and maybe reach out from there. Like, have you been to the pea factory?
I haven't yet.
No.
Well, we
I would
went
love-
through,
you
we
did?
knocked on his
Yeah.
door when we were out walking, and we said, we're curious, what, Renee Gabriel
We're the
worked there
church
when she
lady.
was in high school. She worked there when
Yeah.
she said, I used to work here, and would you
Wow.
mind just, he was so excited
he?
I hope he
to
gives you.
share what he was doing with us. He took us all over, he's
Nice.
doing it himself, he and his
Wow.
wife are doing it himself. Have you been in there?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's so exciting. He's a large sculptor,
Wow.
and he's starting with his workshop, which is the back building, so that's what they're redoing. But he wants to have a museum there. Can you think of a better core
Wow.
for the urban renewal district? I mean, that could be a centerpiece, you know?
Absolutely.
And then the guy next to him, you know, where they used to have the horses for the...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fixing that place up, and he's doing it himself, you know.
It looks really way
It
better
looks
down there.
so nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful inside. He's got all these special, energy efficient techniques he's using. I mean, we could make that urban renewal district a show place,
Yeah.
you know?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and so I think we wanna take our time
Mhm.
and step back and involve more people.
Yep.
And,
Mhm.
Okay,
we could offer a walking tour for people to
Well, that'd
climb
be,
with us.
that'd be great. Urban
And
renewal.
highlight some of those
I
things, you
love
know?
that, yeah. So one of the presentations that I did was on the East Billings, like the eBird or whatever, I don't know what, I can't remember what they call it.
Mhm.
But, their annual meeting, they have food and they
Right.
specifically invite people, and they have like
Mhm.
visual displays,
Yeah.
and get the community involved, and I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Like, they had like 75 people at their
Yeah.
meeting,
If
so.
we get ready for spring, you know,
Yeah.
a nice spring day, or,
That'd be great.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I just, so Jeremy.
I'm sorry.
No,
No,
this is
fantastic.
fabulous. This is just what
Thank
we
you,
needed.
Dylan. We need a little
Yes,
injection
a
of,
little spark.
of, energy or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, so Jeremy is our treasurer, and part of is it a hang up? I don't know, part of we've always paused because, like, we don't have any money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, well, Jeremy, do you want to talk about the situation with the money? I guess maybe that doesn't really matter, but it does.
It does, yeah.
It's been a factor in our process.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's tons of money there now, and more importantly,
Yeah, I don't
so-
have a specific
I mean,
update, maybe and maybe Dave does, or he's working on it. But, you know, so far we just know what the TIF increment is. And basically that's our taxable value. And so that'll be going up as more construction is completed, particularly out in the Alpine Basin subdivision. But we need to know from, I don't know if it's someone at the city or someone at the county, basically needs to apply the mills within that district to that taxable increment and tell us what revenue we can expect. And we haven't heard that yet. So, you know, I can speculate, but I'm not in a position to, you know, to know that officially. It would need to come from the county or the city. And we just haven't heard that yet. So that's kind of where we're at. Dave, do you have an update on that at all yet?
I do not. I did not understand that, that was something that was a specific ask to us, but like you, I don't know where to go to get that information yet. All I've heard is we have an ish, and I think you calculated that yourself, Jeremy, or was that something that came from someplace else?
Yeah, you know, I did a back of the envelope just saying, you know, hey, there's, you know, this many mills, you know, that's public information, and we know what our, you know, we know what our increment is, so I can do the calculation myself, but it's not official in any capacity. So, you know, if you're comfortable, I can reach out to whoever I need to, if you'd like me to, because that is something that we kind of need to know.
Courtney gave the Workforce Housing Committee a number.
Great.
Before she left,
Okay.
and it was a pretty specific number.
Courtney was the tax. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
she got it somewhere.
some $1,000.
And there's a lot more that's been built since
Yeah.
she gave us that, so.
Jeremy, the increment just goes up once a year with the appraisal, doesn't it, or is it a continuous?
A year.
Just at the tax cycle, I would think, because when
Once a year per tax year. Yep.
Okay, so, so Jeremy is going to reach
Each
out.
year. Yep.
Jeremy's gonna reach out and figure out what that increment might be, ask whoever. I do remember something like she was talking to somebody at the county and they had done something, and so.
They didn't quite know yet. And,
Yeah.
yep.
I remember something, maybe that was Jeremy's back of the envelope, 250,000, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm thinking, what do I remember hearing that was like 188? Was that
Yeah,
something else altogether, or?
that's what I heard. Or, no, it was 288.
200,000.
That could be.
I don't remember, but it was, I don't know what it was.
So
Yeah, it's over 200,000.
I didn't commit it to memory because I knew it
Right.
was an ish.
So I put it in.
Okay, so Jeremy, you're
Yeah,
gonna,
if you guys can hear me in minutes, what that
Breaking up.
you're breaking up, Jeremy.
tax increment is. So
You broke up a little bit, Jeremy, we couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, yeah. Okay, so,
well, I was
but
gonna-
you're, go ahead.
I did
No.
put that tax increment.
We're not hearing you.
Anything now?
You took it as an action item, is that
Okay.
correct?
Sure, that'll work.
Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Well, Joanne, thank you. I took notes on your ideas. I love it.
I do too.
So, okay, so.
Yeah, I like that too. I just wanted to, you know, this year, planning board's gonna be looking at the growth policy. And that's the document that help, where that vision statement kind of comes into play. So it might be a good opportunity to interact and participate in that, and maybe one of the things that's missing out of the current growth policy is any any reference to the urban renewal districts. That's
Oh,
new.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of the community entrance zone, but it's kind of a subset of that entrance zone. So addressing a lot of the issues that you raised is part of that conversation and discussion, so.
Well, when I was reading that document, it looks like the zoning is already in place for us to do, you know, whatever we come up with, because it was very flexible. I was very impressed with you know all about that, I don't know that zoning stuff. What was it, a C3N? So it seemed to include everything that we might ever want to do, including high-density housing and...
Yeah, it's zoned to be basically mixed use, mixed commercial and residential.
Yeah, well, the charrette that I went to, it had really wonderful examples of commercial on the first floor and then apartments above it.
Yeah.
And, it had places for people just incubating, you know, a craft kind of project, which is that the soft industrial that it was talking about?
Light industrial.
Light industrial.
Yeah, and one of the,
Woodworkers or furniture makers or things like that.
well, one of the categories we've discussed in planning board is another, it's an artisan
Yeah,
category,
yeah.
which is maybe less intensive than what light industrial is typically thought of,
Sure, yeah.
but if
Well, I
we
was
would,
just thinking to go along with what's already happening at the Pea
Yeah.
Factory and, you know,
right,
people being creative and,
Mhm.
allowing that space.
So, okay, so you had some really awesome ideas. Does anybody have any, I would love to, how can we like make some of this, how can we implement, some of this? Cause I'm 100% for it.
I really like the grant window idea
Yeah.
of the application. I'm not sure if that goes in a plan or if it goes in, bylaws or where it goes. I'm not even sure.
Well, it seems like
Yeah.
it's it should be in the bylaws, if we're looking again, that it's up to us as an option.
Yeah.
That it's for us to set, because some of it's, you know, we gotta try it and see if it works. We don't want it in black and white that it has to be a certain way. But the application and, evaluation procedure, I mean, all it says now is you just go talk to a staff person.
Yeah, we
And come in
specifically
and present
didn't,
it and,
well, cause the environment up until now, and it's potentially still continuing, was the interest rates were so high.
right.
The costs were so high and variable
Mhm.
that there were really, nobody was knocking
Nobody
on
was
any
wanting to
doors.
build,
Mhm.
yeah.
There was no interest.
Mhm.
There was one developer that was, I mean, I think tire kicking would be kind of a stretch, like,
Yeah.
really, like, he had an idea,
Mhm.
Yeah, a
and
vision, maybe.
maybe, like, he owned some property or something
Hmm.
in the district.
Hmm.
And so, actually, that was quite educational, though, because he really, just what we've heard over and over is, like, he's like, well, really, low-density, affordable housing does not pay. He's
Doesn't
like, I
exist.
can't do that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes,
Go
right?
somewhere else. That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
But he's like, I get it, but, and then he also said that the market does not, respond to, you know, all of us do-gooders want high-density, affordable housing, but he's like, people don't want that. That's not what people are buying. But anyways, that's a bit of a rabbit trail. But anyways, we can, maybe, Jeremy, so maybe we can draft.
Jeremy has a number up there now on his notes.
Oh, there we go. Oh, 233 is the TIF increment. We need this district mills applied, so that's coming. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jeremy. So maybe we can sketch out a grant cycle, but I think we should have it be in harmony with when we find our balance.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I think the first thing to do is to say that we're not gonna grant anything until we get
Mhm.
to an X amount of accumulated funds. That'll give us time to get organized
Mhm.
and to generate interest and get people thinking creatively.
would that be part of, refining the application process, or part of being a little bit more specific in the plan itself, or in
Right.
both documents? There's the documents that give us the guidance in terms of process and procedure. It seems like
Yeah.
that's where it would need to be kind of spelled out.
Yeah, maybe in that, so, yeah.
Well, we could say we have a goal of having a procedure in place by such and such a date. But but in lockstep with that, we also have the goal of accumulating enough funds before we start granting. So those can be moving along. We can make a trajectory just from what's going in the Aspen Basin,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Of how we expect that to be growing. I mean, they're finishing houses, they're selling houses, so we should be able to make it out. It'd be nice to have a city planner. It'd be nice to have a
We actually do
planner.
have one right now. Cody Markser is still that through April. Cody Markser with Great West is she's not on staff, but we do have a city planner that we can pull in when we,
Okay,
and we're keeping her busy.
because I think we need staff.
Yeah.
To answer some of these
Yep.
questions, you know.
So, okay, so from what we were talking about, so we can develop a grant process, we can develop a proposal for the funds, like what level do we want our funds, like a ration, what's the number and what's the
Right.
rationale for that? I'm just looking at, from these ideas, what else can we like actionably do?
Well, we need to discuss how we're gonna implement the goals.
So if we have a certain amount of money every year, are we using that and depleting it all, or are we nest egging it, and can we roll it forward?
Can't we?
I don't know that question.
Yeah, it can, in fact. It was interesting because
You
your
definitely-
comments acquiring a base level was actually kind of the sentiment that council expressed on it.
Right.
When it was coming up, it was like, why are we doing so many bitty stuff? Because then we won't have money when something big and meaningful comes in. So
Right.
it was, your comments were right in line with the same concerns they expressed.
Did you have something to say, Jeremy?
I was just gonna say that we can definitely roll forward and save up. You know, that's part of the TIF concept.
So the thing that is a concern for me, and I think you raised that too, and that, we got that first proposal or first application, is like, you know, we're in the government, so everything has to be fair and equitable. So we need to have some kind of guidelines to be able to say, so it's not a personal preference. Like,
Yeah.
well, we don't like your project, but we
Right.
like your project.
Yeah.
We need to have some kind of
Mhm.
guidelines that probably the council has said yes, or maybe it's in here
We
already.
have the goals. We have goal 1 through 4, and
Yeah.
they're really good goals.
And so, but that Bogio coffee thing, there was a goal that met.
But not quite.
Well, it did, though, technically it met the goal.
But it didn't have any, private investment.
It's
Yes,
about
it did.
half.
Oh, it
Yeah,
did?
it
Oh,
did.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
see the
Yeah, it was about-
application. I just
we
saw what
only-
you wrote up in the,
We only funded about maybe a third of what
Okay.
they were at, and
Okay,
it
so
wasn't
they
all
did
of what
have
they
that.
asked for.
right.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, we need to set the priorities
Mhm.
so that we can attain our goals.
Mhm.
And there was 1 through 4, I think that was 3. So that's why we need a competitive process?
Yeah,
You're right.
I do think that, but that's so interesting, like, you
Yeah.
saying it sounds like, well, yeah, but we talked about it, I remember, just so, like,
Just so you know the background a
we've
little
been
bit,
working, like.
I know you have, I know, getting
So,
it set up is
at the-
really hard.
At the time, we were
Mhm.
like, we didn't know what would come, and there was no action.
Mhm.
And I think both Courtney and James, with their experience, they were like, this is
Not going anywhere.
unusual.
Yeah.
That there's nobody knocking on the door.
Mhm.
So, but it does seem like things are perking up a little bit. So, so it seems like we could, draft a grant process that we can all discuss and decide upon, like, is that one of us? that
Well,
does
it's
that,
what
or-
Jeff suggested, a checklist, and you get priorities. I mean, you get points
Sure.
if it satisfies this, that, and the other thing. And that's
So
what
we
we
have
set
to
up.
set what
And
the
that's
priorities are.
objective, that's not subjective.
Yeah.
Well, and a key part of that is having a specific grant timeline, where we look at all of the proposals during that
Right.
timeframe.
We lay them all out and look them all at all, relatively at once.
Jeremy, do you have how the tax piece of that works? Do you know approximately when that would be? Like what time of year?
I mean, it can be whenever we decide it can be. And ideally, we would have it be the most convenient time for a developer to sit, to be able to set their plans.
Ah, good thought.
So it'd be fall for spring development.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Good thought.
Yeah.
But, okay, being the devil's advocate, knowing how things work, if say the money comes out, like it's known, January 2,
Mhm.
because this legitimately could happen. There's $2 million in that budget, and then city council, or, it's human nature, not saying anything bad about anybody, but somebody sees, oh, that's $2 million, well, then they have a friend that there's a this, so I think you do want to have it close to when it's convenient for developers, but I think it might be better to have it when the money comes out. Like, we know, well, let's see, or within that time frame, because then you're not working against human nature of like, well, I have a friend and this is a really great project, and then there's lobbying against the city council, and then,
Oh, my God.
you know what I mean? Like,
So-
that could happen. I think it probably would happen in a small town where everybody knows everybody.
Why did you pick this project over that project?
Or, like, if we say the money, I don't know when the money comes out, let's say it comes out, say, January 15th, but our process is, October 15th is when we're gonna make awards.
Mhm.
That's a lot. That could get squirrely. I think we should have a time when the money is known.
Oh, we don't have to give it all out
So-
either.
So if I could just break in for a second.
Yeah, please.
It's not as haphazard as that. The TIF district itself is, progressively grows, and we have an idea, like our increment now is what it'll be next year as well, just plus some extra development. So we can anticipate the kinds of revenues we'll be seeing. So I don't think it's necessary, it's not like the county's writing us a check and it'll be deposited, at some time. And I don't think we should design our cycle based on that, because it's,
I think
the TIF is a long-term project, and we can anticipate what it's going to pay out in the long run. So I don't necessarily, I just wanted to push back on that concept. I think as long as if we pick a time that's best for the people that are going to be doing the work, I think that would be the best way to do it. Just knowing that, we're steady enough. We know what's going.
Okay, so fall,
I
maybe.
think the main thing is to get the big picture that we want. And then, again, we don't want to do it all at once. I think we want to start not too ambitiously, maybe start with whatever, see what comes down the pike. Somebody wants to build a fourplex, and that's pretty modest.
It
And
can happen,
they've got funding to do that, and
Yep.
it makes sense to them, and they need help with the infrastructure.
Yep.
So again, you're not funding the whole project.
No.
You're only gonna do a piece of it. Because I think we really need to work on that model where we're not doing the whole thing.
Mhm.
So we need them being the developer to be the creative person
Mhm.
coming in with the land,
Yeah.
and how to
Absolutely.
do it. But there's the other option that we could use it to buy land or to leverage purchase of land, because that's the bottom line. You gotta have the land to do anything.
Mhm.
And right now, that's what's in short supply.
Mhm.
So, but if we get the vision and we say, well, we want some high-density housing over here. And so when land comes up, we are able to maybe leverage the purchase of it,
Mhm.
incentivize the purchase of it somehow, so
Mhm.
that we get what we want.
Mhm.
Not what somebody comes up with here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's where I think we need time. We don't want to rush it.
Yeah.
And I think we wanna, by giving ourselves this goal to have a certain amount of money, it gives us time to do charrettes, to do community programs, to do walking tours, to really envision how it could be.
You know, another option, rather than necessarily picking a number for a baseline that we want to shoot for, we could just say we want to wait, say, a full tax cycle, which is 2 years, you know, before we award any grants. That way we'll have a full tax cycle's worth, whatever that number is, in the fund. So that's just another way that we could structure that.
So, just out of curiosity, Jeremy, I have zero objection to that, but what happens if the golden opportunity
That's-
drops in your lap in the middle of it?
Because you know what, in small towns, that's what happens. You have to take advantage of your opportunity, and that's what I was exactly gonna say. What if your
Hands are
golden opportunity comes? Because it could happen.
Oh, but then you make it work.
Well,
That's
then you're
what we-
putting, you know, you'd be subject to that restriction with the money cap too, though.
The what?
Money cap.
To quote what Jack Sparrow, it's more of a guideline, really?
Well, okay, if you guys are down with that, yeah.
Well, we have to have council down with it too.
Right.
Well,
So in my mind, this is kind of part of
I
the,
would like to take enough time to do the vision thing. I mean, I'd like to give us that time before we do all the other process things. So it's a good excuse to say we have to have enough money to really
Yeah.
make an impact, and then we're waiting for that. But in the meantime, then we could be, because I think you gotta start with the vision and go from there. And the opportunistic part is gonna come when you have the vision. It's gonna come with people who catch the vision and wanna help and wanna use their expertise to make it happen. So,
Investment follows vision. Investment follows vision.
yeah, exactly. You say that all the time. In your trainings, right?
Mhm.
So this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a huge opportunity to,
When you talk about creating a vision, what, you know, I guess I visualize when I was presenting what Bozeman was proposing for their North 7th Avenue. So their vision, they had a picture.
Mhm.
This is what we want North 7th to look like. And how we're gonna achieve it is through the urban renewal, or through TIF funds.
Mhm.
And they had, so is that kind of what you're thinking about? And
Yeah.
So we have something concrete and
Yeah.
visual to reference in terms of,
To get people sparking and that's the idea of the charrette. People would say, well, I don't like all those different heights, or I don't like the looks of that kind of facade. We want things to fit with downtown, and how about if we did something else? It's good to do that before you build it and
Mhm.
people start arguing,
Yeah.
right?
Jeremy has a question.
Oh, go ahead. Jeremy asked, is the vision encapsulated by the URD plan?
Yeah.
Okay, that also, I'm like, well, they spent a lot of time, they probably
Yeah.
spent a lot of money on that too.
No, it's
How
a
is it
really nice
different?
plan.
So it's like more specific?
More
kind of at the time?
specific.
Okay.
And I think we should do these walking tours, because things are
Love
gonna
that.
come to us as we do them. I don't think you can plan until you know what's there and you really get a feel for it.
And I agree that housing is very important, but I live in Remington Ranch and I drive down. There's always somebody walking in the road. It is
Yeah.
not safe.
No.
That is ridiculous that we do
Right.
not have. It is, I mean, I'm just driving down here, there's somebody running with their dog.
I know.
And it was Amy, so I'm like driving, I'm like waving at her, and I'm like, oh God, there could be a deer or some other little kid running out. Like, it is not safe.
No.
By the way, that conversation is actively involved and MDT is on board with it.
Yay.
So there's an
in fairness,
opportunity.
if that's money that takes to do that, is that part of your vision?
I would love, I just, it's, every time I drive that, it's just like, there's somebody when it's snowing, it's,
Well, and it's the same thing of walking to school over here. The kids have to walk down the middle of the road right here to, or like over by the pea factory to get to school. They're just walking down the middle of the road.
Well, walkability is one of the big, it's not, by amendment, it's incorporated, the active transportation plan is incorporated into the growth policy.
Oh, great.
So those are two documents that we really, that can kind of form the foundation of the vision. And then, maybe the next step is getting a little bit more specific in terms of what that vision is. But there are things, I guess, that we need to always be cognizant of, that, like the active transportation plan and the goals outlined in that, and the connectivity that's being proposed to really maintain a walkable community, with the connectivity between the residential areas and the commercial areas.
Right.
So those things can be all built into and become part of, or should become a part of the URD.
Absolutely.
And at the charrette, it was really interesting, because the safety factor of how you feed into the circle, or how you feed into 212 or 78, you don't want to have too many feed-ins, because that's really dangerous. You want to have all the intersections inside the community where it's slow traffic, and then just one or two accesses to the main highway. So there's a lot to be thought out, And there are people who know how to do this.
Not me. I don't know how to do that.
Well, the other comment, kind of tearing off what Dave was saying about improving the pedestrian connectivity down Brewery Hill, which I assume that's what you're on, is also the connectivity between downtown and 2 Mile Bridge, and incorporating, ensuring that the improvements that Montana Department of Transportation is working on incorporates that vision, rather than them telling Red Lodge what they're going to give Red Lodge.
Right.
Red Lodge needs to communicate.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if TIF funds are maybe available for purchasing right-of-way, and I don't know if they are, that maybe that was one of the limitations associated with connectivity to 2 Mile Bridge, and the acquisition of a larger easement, and whether the city would participate in that or not, and the city didn't have the funds to acquire any easement or additional easement beyond what Montana Department of Transportation needed for the road improvement.
There's a lot. It's really big, complicated issue, and I don't think we're in charge of that.
We're not. Well, and we're also, I think, we sat here with Bogios, and we totally told them that they were the guinea pig. At that point in time, we had no idea what the money was in the pot, and just kind of explained to them of this is the process. You're going to be the one that's stepping through this for us as sending somebody through the gate the first time. We're not the decision makers. The chamber, or the city council is the decision maker, not us. It goes to them. We're just a committee.
And we made that discussion very clear, because I was there when it came to planning board too.
Yep.
And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't we weren't ready to check somebody else's cash.
And I think they seemed like they were understanding and appreciative of that. But obviously it used them, unfortunately, but it also was a great practice
It's mutual.
Yeah.
They got something out of it.
Yeah.
Presumably, I guess.
Yeah, but it was a great practice for us, and then the process of the planning board and then to city council, it was to see, and then like, oh wait, this isn't working, we need to back up a little bit. So I think it was a very good initial process.
And my understanding is I know because their planning permit and everything and their opening deadline was well before they could do the project. So they're going through with the project, it just won't be paved,
Right.
or may not be paved.
That's interesting, because that was Courtney's biggest, she's like,
Mhm.
that's what we wanted, they wanted, a goal was pavement, and I was like, that seemed, I didn't understand that, but whatever. Okay, so is there anything else that we can take, so what can we take action on from, so I just have, like, draft a grant process, accumulate, decide if, at what point do we want to release, you know, is there a
Timeline.
well, an amount of funds that we
Yeah.
want to get to. I kind of like what Jeremy's saying,
Yeah.
like a 2-year process and maybe reevaluate at that point.
Good idea.
And talk more about how to implement the goals, and then plan this field trip. Like, I really want to walk it, but kind of more in June.
Yeah. I wanna not when it's muddy and gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any ideas on how to implement some of these things? Like, so we can, like, next month come and be like, here's a proposal for blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think maybe our June or even July meeting, if we're all around, we could take this meeting time and go walk it.
That would be
And it would be summer, it'd be light,
Yeah.
and we could just go do it.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Early June.
Yeah.
So that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be fantastic. It'd be very, very educational. You know, obviously, we might not be able to get the whole thing in the evening, but
Yeah, maybe we can do part in June and part in July.
yeah.
And hopefully we'd have a planner at that point
Yeah.
that we could,
Or,
Well, and then after we do it, then we could organize a fun walk for the community.
sure.
And have maybe an open house at the tea factory.
Yeah, there we go.
yeah,
That's a
that's
great
really,
idea.
I love,
People
that
love-
would be, yes,
People love to show off what they've done, you know?
yes.
Well, and
thank
these people
you.
even ask me, because I'm like brand new on this committee, I've never done anything city before, and they're like, where's the urban renewal district? And I'm like, kind of this area-ish. Without looking at the map, I can't really even like tell them exactly,
No.
so. It'd be great, and for me personally, selfishly, to do it.
Okay, so does anybody want to volunteer, or does anybody want to volunteer to develop one of these things, like a grant process, or decide how much funds we should have, or how do we determine the amount of funds, or the timeline? Some kind of framework for how to implement the goals.
So, and Joanne, you're more familiar with the grant timeline process of a grant window. Do you set, like, here's the pot of money, and if you get.
A lot of people do it annually. We
Okay.
do it quarterly.
Mhm.
That works for us with all
Sure.
our different funders. But I think annually would work at first. It gives people a chance to think about it.
A lot of
and-
runway, yeah.
And if we have a date that's convenient for,
Mhm.
like you said, some
Yeah.
fall date.
So if we have the grant applications due, and then there's a review period,
Yeah,
there wouldn't be an awarding, I can't see it for like,
several months,
yeah, exactly, a
right.
handful.
Well, and it has to go through,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
There's a lot of-
planning board
Yeah.
up with it, make sure that it satisfies all the zoning, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
There's a lot of,
Mhm.
that's why we need staff.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Who really
true.
know?
Yeah, I can't do this, I'd have no idea.
Well, and there may
Yeah.
be years where we don't have a project that really fits. So,
Yeah. I think you said, and there might be a year when we don't have a project that fits.
That's
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, do we just want to say like fall? I mean, I'm thinking like September's too early because summer is busy. They won't have time to develop the projects. I'm thinking October. Our October meeting would be a general deadline proposed deadline for a grant process. Do we just talk about this next month? Well, actually, in 2 weeks we meet, so,
Yeah.
okay, well,
should we make that a goal for next month to establish a process?
I'm looking, I think that would be,
I mean, we can do it,
yeah. A couple hours sitting down,
yeah, or
doing a little
hours,
research,
yeah.
yeah.
But that,
Do we
But
have-
we need to be thinking about a checklist, and, I think at the same time, because you want people to know what the checklist is, what the priorities are before they waste their time developing a proposal.
Well, we do have the checklist, there is a checklist in there,
I saw
so maybe
that
we
one, right.
put like points to it or something.
Maybe we,
I think we just make it,
prioritize the checklist.
Yes, like,
start with our goal.
uh-huh. Well, we can have 5-year, we can have, is there like a SEDS process do we have any kind of like current, like,
What are you talking about, multi-year?
like a SEDS is something that Beartooth, our C&D would do. They need to do it every year. It's a Community Economic Development Plan it's kind of a thorough process that, economic development regions have to go through. So it's just like
The last one we have is like 25 years old or something,
Yeah.
so.
well, yeah.
Does Extension have any resources that,
No, we don't. But the SEDS process is something that is required but it's kind of it varies depending on, yeah. So, okay, well, because I was just thinking, like, is there some, like, current, like, here's our priorities for the next 3 years, something like that, based on blah, blah, blah. But it's nobody's saying, yeah, we
Well,
have that.
Jeremy has another comment here, I'm reading it.
Okay.
We may have to scroll the computer down a little bit to see the whole,
I can do that.
you can do that, Dave? There we go.
I think a selected application due date would go hand in hand with the points-based review, yes, so those would both go into our proposed process. Well, if it involves like a cup of coffee and some sweet roll, I would volunteer to meet somebody.
I feel like my expertise in that is so limited, I'm not sure how much help I'd be.
Dave, could we sit down with the planner, can we have like an hour of the planner's time to like, that would be like, like an expert,
Sure.
oh, that's it.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so we could say,
They've
here's what.
probably done this before.
Yeah,
It will actually work better in the evenings starting tomorrow.
okay.
So I'm just gonna read Jeremy's comments out loud so the recording gets them. I think a selected application due date would go hand in hand with a point-based review. So both of those would go into a process document. We could put a collaborative document onto the Google Drive as well, so we all have ideas we can add to it.
Okay. Good deal. Okay, well, I'm just,
so do we need to kind of review the current URD plan? Because I recall a list of criteria
I do
already
too.
there, so I don't know that we need to
Reinvent the wheel.
We don't.
We just need to look with what we've got already done and maybe add to it or modify it, but then come up with a process for scoring or.
Yeah, prioritizing.
So is that our
whole list.
homework for next time?
Yeah, that could be.
Relook at the
Yeah.
document.
When is our next meeting, Sarah?
it's
It's
the
soon.
11th of March,
Okay.
so,
It's the second Monday is the current standing time.
Got it.
okay, so I have a busy week next week, so I can't really, meet before then, but like if somebody wanted to do a working meeting, like I could meet before this meeting and work on something, or,
I mean, we could also take, because these meetings are usually pretty short, I'm
yeah.
willing to take the first half hour of like this meeting and
Yeah.
really dive in and work on it too as a group,
Oh,
And that's what I was
Um,
thinking.
okay.
if that's okay with
Do
everybody
you want
else.
me to see if that's when
Yeah.
the planner can be available for the next meeting?
That'd be good.
Bingo. video. I think that's
Online.
great. That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will take that as an action item.
that would be good too, 'cause then we could project a document on
Yeah.
the screen and
Mhm.
kind of all look at it at the
Mhm.
same time. And
And we could be brainstorming
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
same
and
time.
Yeah.
it's gonna be a draft, and so
Yeah.
then we can
Yeah.
think about it for the next
Absolutely.
time.
Mhm. But we can have time to review it between now and then. I love it.
Mhm.
Okay, that's great. Okay.
the other suggestion, and maybe part of this would just also review the growth policy for the community entrance and look at what those goals
Yeah.
are. Yeah, that begins kind of the discussion about the vision part.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially if you guys are gonna look at that, it would be,
So I'm not sure if I was looking, I think I was looking at the growth policy. I don't know what I was looking at. It's
If
the
you
one
said-
that,
If you
I
said,
just
This is-
did the link.
yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, that's it. That's our plan.
That's the one I was looking at.
Yeah, Okay, all right, that's a good plan. Sweet, okay. If
Have
we're,
a plan B in case she says no, but I'll get you an answer within the week,
well,
within a week.
okay, that's good. That'll work. Okay, so that's our, if we're okay, let's move on to the next agenda
Yeah.
item. Okay. Update on discussion of urban renewal agency at recent city council meetings. So I couldn't go to any of those, so does anybody want to share what happened at those meetings? Like what was the,
I wasn't at any of them either, so I can't.
Well, Jeremy and I were,
Mhm.
so,
Go ahead, Joanne.
well, Jeremy did a really good job of explaining what the group had done before, and, so he really helped fill in the city council on what had happened already. And we did mention the fact that it would be a good idea to accumulate, and the city council seemed to be on board with that.
Sure.
And they were totally on board with housing being the number one priority.
good deal?
So I guess that was the main discussion.
Okay.
Did you have anything to?
Anything to add, Jeremy?
Good point.
No, those are the basics. Thanks, Joanne, for summarizing. It's kind of frustrating when my microphone isn't working great.
We can read your typing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, that sounds good. Okay, if it's okay, we'll move on.
Mhm.
Okay, so old business.
Well, I want to say one more thing about city council.
Yes.
Is I was really impressed with their enthusiasm.
Nice.
And, the mayor asked them all to comment individually,
Oh, nice.
and they all were very supportive and, positive about the whole thing.
Great.
So I think that's really important,
Sure, to have support, for sure.
every one of them.
Great.
Mhm.
That's great. Excellent. Okay. All right, moving on to old business. We have none. Treasurer's report. I kind of feel like Jeremy already kind of did that. Do you have anything, do you want to restate that or anything to add, Jeremy? It's
Nothing more to add.
Nothing more to add, okay. And what I have written down in my notes from what Jeremy said earlier is we don't know a dollar figure. Jeremy's gonna reach out to find out more about the money
He,
that's,
he came back with a $233,017 is the TIF increment, but it sounds like there's still some additional math to
Mhm.
that.
Okay, great. Written correspondence is the next thing, and I am not aware of any.
We don't have an
well-
audience.
Well, we have Angela.
Oh.
Angela, do you have anything? Petitions, communications from the audience?
I don't,
Okay.
thank you, though.
Yeah, oh, we have, sir?
I was wondering if your old business, I know there was conversation kind of before the meeting officially started, and Marcy wasn't here yet, but there was a discussion about whether you guys were gonna change your time to accommodate. And Marcy, there was a question because they didn't understand what the need was and therefore what needed to be addressed to accommodate it.
For the timeline?
The meeting nights on the second Mondays. And so what we did get a chance to do was go in and we were reviewing notes, and it's basically you guys set it by a majority vote.
We did initially, I think.
Yeah.
Are you okay with the meetings?
Mondays are fine. 5:30s tend to get a little bit of a scramble. But Mondays are great.
Okay.
Wednesdays are normally school board and other meetings, but Mondays usually end up just fine.
Okay. Other business. I'm gonna add, I'll just add to our, March agenda, the minutes. Oh,
Right.
let's just look
The
at the
bylaws.
bylaws. Let's
Yep.
just review them or approve.
Is that gonna be too much along with, working with the planner next month? The March meeting?
We could do it in April. I mean, I don't know. How do you guys, we try, how about we just try? I think we looked at them extensively.
We did look at them
So
extensively.
we could review and,
It wouldn't take long, but I just don't wanna take up the planner's time.
that's true,
If
yeah.
they're
Well, we
online.
could do that after the planner.
We could, you're right.
Yeah.
What is the date on that next meeting? It's,
March 11th, yeah.
I asked and then I read it, like, immediately.
I had the same thought, so.
Yep.
So the first half of the meeting, we're gonna have it be a work session.
Yeah, work session.
On, grant cycle. Is that right?
That sounds great.
With
Grant
plan-
process,
cycle, yeah.
or proposal
Yeah.
process.
Okay, great. All right, that's all we have in our agenda. That would be call for other business, so I guess the next thing is to just adjourn. Does anybody have anything else before we call her?
And I think we got a pretty good set for the next meeting or the next two meetings
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
And a good plan. Thank you, Joanne. I appreciate
Yeah,
the
thank you so much.
injection of
Yay.
enthusiasm.
And a vision. I think
And a
we were
vision,
all
exactly.
just plugging along and
Mhm.
yay, wonderful. Glad to have you.
Glad to
Are
have
we
you.
short someone then? Do we need another
I think we
person?
do.
Mhm.
So if you're taking James's, then we would need somebody for Victoria.
Mhm.
And I guess the reality is, we filled a vacancy, I don't know that I'll check the minutes and see if we specified a specific term on it.
Okay.
But the idea was to stagger them out anyway, so.
Right.
We don't have public floggings if you step away early.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just adjourn. And it's 6:38, so one of our longer meetings.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. Thanks, Jeremy, for making it work. And Jeremy says, only thing is thanks to Joanne for joining us.
Oh.
From Jeremy.
Oh, thank you, Jeremy.
Okay, great.
I appreciate all the help on this because this is something that's just beyond my level of what I've ever done, and so I'm learning a ton.
Me as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all of us, I
Yeah.
mean, the whole concept is
Mhm.
new, and James, it was he pushed it
This is
here and then he
his
left us.
His baby. I know, we kind of had a dream team there for a little bit.
did.
Now we have a new
We
dream
have
team.
Dave, is what she's thinking.
We gotta re-envision the dream team.
So now we have Joanne added to the dream team.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right, you guys are officially done?
Yep, she adjourned it at 6:38.